the gist of it is that 8 months later, we lost our son. From 8 months from diagnosis to the time he passed, the time of his service was 8 months to the day.
One of the things that you talked to us about during the process was how people reacted. And I think a lot of guys are asking the question, how do I handle it when I've got people I love grieving? What would you say are some things that people shared with you, you're like, man, that is not helping right now? Did you have those moments?
Is one right out of the gate.
Men in the Arena Army, we salute you. Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the Men in the Arena podcast. I'm Jim Ramos, your host and guide, leading you to your best version in the stress bubble of life and beyond. Welcome to Spotify's #1 podcast for Christian men and the top 5 on iTunes. Hey guys, you are going to be blessed today. I've got my friend Isaac Kerns in the house, and Isaac and I go back 20 years. My earliest memory of Isaac is he was putting in my sprinkler system. My dog bit him in the rear end. True story. I'm pretty sure it drew blood.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Isaac ended up marrying a young woman who moved up from California with us, who's like a daughter to us. I did their ceremony. Isaac served in our youth ministry. He's a tremendous, tremendous servant. He's a business owner. He owns multiple businesses, very, very successful. He's a leader in the church. He's been elder in the church, board member in the church. He's done it all. He's currently the young adults pastor in a church, a large church. And so he just epitomizes what it means to be a man in the arena. And he's got a super unique story. I could probably tell you about his bio for hours. I just love this guy dearly. And man, just really appreciate him in my life. And little known fact, when we started Men in the Arena, we had 15 men in a coffee shop, and Isaac was one of those 15 guys. And so he's done Men in the Arena groups for years, and he's just crushing it in life. In the midst of hardship, in the midst of being a business owner, in the midst of a lot of different things. And so, Isaac, it's great to have you on the show, man.
Thanks. Glad to be here, man.
I'm excited to have you. This is one of the interviews that will be easy because I know you always have something to say, and I do too. So I'll try to listen and let you share your stuff. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see who gets how many words per minute in. So
I think I'm going to let you win today. So
we'll see.
So if we go back to May of 2024 in our man camp, you shared a seminar in there on grief, and we had a theme called Into the Storm, and we had a huge buffalo head donated to us, a literal buffalo head, like big, like probably thousands of dollar value, and we presented that to you as a man who, as a family who headed into the storm and it's a trials. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, just the journey as a whole. Yeah. So of course, you introed it so well. I married Nicole, and we had 2 beautiful children, McKenna, who is now 20 years old, and our son Ethan, who would be coming up on his 19th birthday. So yeah, Ethan was a normal high school kid, football player, and was playing football his junior year, and kept coming home saying he was having rib pain. I'm like, well, yeah, you dummy, you're a linebacker, a lot of contact, But the pain was becoming more and more intense, and so we took him to see a chiropractor, and they found the lump in his armpit, and we're like, okay, you need to go see your primary care. We went and saw primary care. First words out of his mouth is, "You have cancer. Oh my gosh, you have cancer." Like, hey, how about a biopsy, some imaging? No, just first words out of his mouth. So it was kind of alarming. Long story short, the next day we woke up and this tumor had pressed itself into Ethan's spinal cord and prevented him from being able to walk. So we weren't going to mess around with this at all, and we immediately took him up to OHSU. Got there by about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. By 10 o'clock, he was in a 4.5 hour long MRI. Comes out of the MRI, they wheel him out of the MRI in an MRI chair, where we're greeted by a team of 12 doctors, including a surgical team. That was like, you have to get into surgery immediately and get this tumor removed from your spine. He was in surgery for several hours there and finally came out 10, 11 o'clock that night. And we spent the next 3 weeks up in the hospital in Portland at Dornbecker's there. And they biopsied the thing, and it was a terminal diagnosis of cancer. So that was really kind of the beginning of what would be a tumultuous journey, but where God would reveal God's self to us in many, many ways, and to many, many people in many ways. And there's a lot of victory that came out of that. But the gist of it is that 8 months later, we lost our son. From 8 months from diagnosis to the time he passed, the time of his service was 8 months to the day. So yeah, that's a big part of our story.
Yeah, and we were fortunate enough to be involved in your story and meeting with Ethan and hanging out with you guys. And what was really impressive to me, I mean, I've shared this with you guys already, but you did a 30-minute message. I mean, I don't know how long they were. It felt like 30-minute sermon. Nicole did a 30-minute sermon. And to have a parent stand up and do that, and people came to Christ, and I think almost 2,000 people, almost or over, viewed the sermon or were there.
Yeah.
And that was really impressive to me. But one of the things, when something like this happens, even though I've been in ministry for many, many years and I've experienced this on different levels, it's never, no story is the same, which I think you're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah, sure.
But one of the things that you talked to us about during the process was how people reacted. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of guys are asking the question, how do I handle it when I've got people I love grieving? How do I handle that? So what would you say are some things that people shared with you, you're like, man, that is not helping right now? Did you have those moments?
Where people were sharing with me that that wasn't helpful?
Yeah, they were trying to help you. They were trying to help you, but you're like, this is exactly what not to do.
Yeah. Comparing pain, I think, is one right out of the gate. Yeah. There's no pain comparison. I mean, you can have the exact same sickness, the exact same illness, and the exact same result, and it doesn't matter. You cannot compare stories. There's your story, there's my story. You're going to go through pain in life. I'm going to go through pain in life. Sometimes we want to use that to connect. I want to identify you. I want to walk in your pain, and I'm going to share my story to help you know that I also have experience. That's unnecessary. It's when somebody's going through pain and you want to address them. I think it's just, I acknowledge your pain. That's simple. I see that you're walking down this road, man, and my heart breaks for you. That's all that needs to be said. Not about your past uncles, cousins, whatever. None of that matters. I see that you're in pain right now. That sucks. I'm going to walk through this with you, and I'm here for you. That's the most important thing.
So somebody coming to you, I know that you had several people came to you who actually lost children. Mm-hmm. And I remember you saying one of them said, I know what you're going through. Yeah. And don't say that.
Don't say that.
You don't know what I'm going through.
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
You really don't.
Okay, so instead of saying that, you already said it before, but how should a person respond instead of saying, I really know what you're going through?
Yeah, I acknowledge the pain. I think that's the thing. People want to shy away from acknowledging the pain, right? Instead of it's almost like shying away from sin. We don't want to acknowledge the sin, right? Yeah. We shy away from pain in the same regard. It's just to acknowledge, I see that you are walking through this journey with your son, and I am sorry that you're walking through this, and I'm here for you if there's anything that I can do. We do that too. We can talk about that in a second too. But what you can do about it moving forward. Instead of if there's anything I can do. Everybody says that, right? Is there anything that I can do for you? Well, I'm going to do this for you.
So one of the things that I know people that say that. Mm-hmm. So you're saying don't say to a person who's grieving, is there anything you need? Just start meeting a need. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. If I own a landscape company, right? If I've got a friend who's walking through a similar situation, I can have my guys go mow their yard, right? I just do it. Just start doing it and then tell them that you did it. Great. That's all you need to know. It's because, hey, if there's anything, I'd have to think of something for you to do for me, and I don't have the time to worry about that. I don't have the brain space to worry about that when I'm going through this trauma right now, So yeah, I think it's a cliche thing, and it's genuine and sincere, and I think we all do it, but in our journey, we had, you and Shanna were tremendous in that journey in showing up and just being there. I think that's first and foremost too, is something to do, is just show up and be there. Not ask if I can be there, just show up and sit in the waiting room. Some of our closest friends, Ben and Cass Van Dyke, we were in the hospital 21 straight days. Cassandra was in that waiting room 19 of 21 days. Sitting there, she had her work or projects or whatever, she was just there in case we needed something, right? And this is a high level trauma. We can look at this in smaller scales too, but this was a high level trauma. And then it's things like, that community of people too behind Cass, and it's, hey, we're gonna for them, we're going to do this. And I think Nicole and I lost kind of our freedom in that to some degree. People just were making decisions for us.
Well, you had your house basically remodeled.
Yes.
Handicap accessible for Ethan because he couldn't walk. He's in a wheelchair.
That's right.
And
yes.
I mean, what are some things people just did for you without asking?
Yeah, 100%. So my little brother's a general contractor. We have some friends that are general contractors as well. They just took it upon themselves to remodel our house. Ethan's bedroom was upstairs, and now he can't walk, right? He's wheelchair bound. So they turned our game room into a full bedroom care center type of a thing with like hospital equipment and stuff like that. They redid the flooring, painted the walls. They took the downstairs bathroom, they widened the hallway by taking the doors out, redid the floor because it was carpet as well, and then completely tore a bathroom apart to the studs and the joists and rebuilt it in a week type of a thing. And tile shower so he could wheel in there, transfer into a shower chair, these heavy duty bars. He's a big kid, 5'11", 210, big kid. Linebacker, yeah. He's a big kid. So for him to be able to transfer his weight onto a toilet, it was awesome. They did it in a week. It's the most impressive thing I've ever seen. So yeah.
Well, I think that's critical. Don't ask people when they are going through a traumatic life event, before he passed or after. They don't have the brain space. I remember going up to the hospital. It must have been probably day two. I remember you came out of the waiting room and you just kind of collapsed into the chair. Yeah. And it's like, there's nothing that you can, let's talk about that. There's nothing you can say in that moment. Like, I'm a talker. I mean, I'm paid to have a Bible answer, but there's no answer. I mean, there's no answer. So I think sometimes, like, do you feel like sometimes people over talk instead of just a ministry of presence? Is there something there you experienced?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is the ministry of presence. One of my best friends in the world from high school, retired Lieutenant Colonel Sean Finicum. He can get on any plane he wants to whenever he wants to, and he lives in Salt Lake City. He showed up, and I don't know how he got into the ICU because nobody was supposed to be back there. Yeah. But I mean, we were having a moment in the ICU with our son, and I look up and there's my best friend who is in Utah, but no, he's here. He just showed up and was there. Sean didn't do anything amazing, but he was just somebody who I could talk to, right? Yeah. He didn't offer any words of wisdom or speak into anything. He just, when I told him the news, he wept with me. He was just with me, and so presence and relationships are going to trump words. God, especially when God's doing a work already. Yeah. Something was happening in that hospital already. God's presence was there. So we just kind of have to figure out what's going on and get on board with it. So
yeah, and he actually had some God stuff happen with him. We won't get into that. Yeah. But I did see a picture at a baptism.
Baptized.
Yeah. So that's just cool. So here's something for me. Like, whenever something happens like that for me, and I see somebody who I love suffering, and I'm going to be really honest and vulnerable, my first reaction is to lean back and to kind of shrink back. Yeah. And that's my first reaction, but I'm pretty good about not doing it. Did you have people, I don't name names, but did you find people that just kind of, that you thought would step into a place that actually retracted and shrank back? Did you have that experience?
Yeah, and I'm going to even go like post Ethan's passing or, type of thing. It's interesting how much harder it continues to get, grief, in different seasons. When it happened, it was 8 months of diagnosis to death. So much happened where we're having success with chemo. We've got a chance. We're laying hands. We're praying. Yeah. Like, we're going to beat this. Doctor says, we can't save your son. I say, you can't, but God can. Yeah, and, so we're in this adrenaline for 8 months of thing. And then what happens when it's done? How do you live life again and start over? That's where I've seen more people step back, actually. And it's no harm, no foul, but there's still stuff going on in that grief process. Nicole said it like this: we were grieving our son while he was still alive, having known that his diagnosis was terminal. But it's the stepping back and just not acknowledging it, especially people that you hadn't seen in a long time or you don't see that often. Man, just to say something. To that, I'm in the Christmas business as well. We just had our conference.
It's not Santa.
Not Santa. Yeah, we do holiday decorating. But we were in Texas. We're in Fort Worth, and I saw Fireman Eddie. He's a good friend of mine. He's the big Super Jets fan, the New York Jets fan. Fireman Eddie. Yeah. So I hadn't seen Eddie since any of this had happened. A couple years it's been since I'd seen Eddie. But I walked up to him, and he just threw he's a big dude. He's like you, but a little bit bigger. But he just threw his arms around me and was just like, dude, I don't know what to say, but this thing with your son, I just acknowledge it, I don't know what to say. And that was enough.
Yep.
He at least addressed it instead
Yes.
of just hiding back from it. Just acknowledge it, because it does feel good to see other people acknowledge it, that they were touched by the story. It gives purpose to tragedy is what it does. And that was enough. That was simply enough just to acknowledge it. But when people shy away from it, it's awkward.
So here's something. You've already brought this up just now. So you had so many people rally to you while Ethan was battling for his life. And even the first month after his passing, it actually inspired my wife and I that, man, we aren't in community like this. So we actually stepped in and built our own community, a group that we meet every Sunday night, because we were envious in a good way of that part of it. But what my wife and I had this discussion after Ethan passed, and we said, in a couple months, it's all going to get quiet. Yeah. You guys are college pastors, so you've got 40 kids in your house, young adults in your house every week. But you've your daughter married the week before Ethan passed or something, and so they're gone, and it's going to get real quiet. So Shannon and I said, hey, we need to make an attempt, and I don't want you to speak to the attempt, because I feel like we did good, and I'm doing good. But like, we need to make an attempt to reach out to them regularly, well beyond. And I know Shannon and Nicole still walk and do things, and I'm just saying, this is something. Can you speak to that quiet when people kind of forget it? And you guys are very strong leaders. She's an executive pastor of the church. You're the college guy. You run your own business. You're very vocal, strong people. And I think people tend to go, they don't need me right now, and they pull back. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. When we were in the hospital, I mean, I couldn't not look at my phone every 5 seconds was a text message, right? Or people commenting on that. We created a Facebook page for the entire journey. There were so many of those, hey, thinking about you, all of that stuff, but what happens later, right? That's the thing is, and people they stop, they just stop reaching out. They may still think about us. And there are times, I mean, there's a handful of people that say, I was praying for you today, or whatever, and they'll reach out still too, but it dwindles down. But every one of those text messages, every one of those phone calls, I mean, time is time. And Nicole and I are very busy people. We keep ourselves busy. Yeah. I think that might even be healthy, unhealthy, who knows? But a simple text message is gold. I was thinking about you today, so I stopped in a moment and prayed. Wow. It's such an encouragement through the grief process, because grief is a roller coaster. We can say that over and over again. There's highs, there's lows. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's Ethan's birthday month, right? His birthday is September 24th. And right now, Nicole's struggling. I mean, she's having a hard time. She's had some pretty tough grief days, We go in cycles too. It's like her and I both don't grieve at the same time. It's always one of us grieving in a different way, right? So, any one of those messages is gold. It's absolute gold. I think this is one of the most important things that we could do to somebody who we've known has suffered a tragedy, even within the last 5 years. I've heard things like it takes 2 to 3 years. After year 3, things are different. This is from people who have lost spouses or children themselves. It's the first 3 years is the hardest part of grief. Well, man, don't give up on somebody in the first 6 months. There's still 2.5 plus years of really solid grief time is what's happening. So, yeah.
No, that's a really powerful statement, because we rally around the pain. Okay, I've got a thought. Tell me if I'm wrong. We rally around the pain, but we don't rally around the grief.
I think that's fair. That's a fair statement. And yeah, it's tough. It really is. It's a real thing. And it's, like I said, the highs and the lows too is what's crazy. I mean, it's almost like a woman going through menopause. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're talking about triggers.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't know when a trigger is going to hit you, right? And all of a sudden, you're a smell, a song, it's football season, a football game. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to trigger you, but I'm just. No. I mean, so what are some? Can you think of any other like ringing type of thing that somebody did that you're like, man, that hurt. Don't do that. Is there anything else standing out in your mind?
No, I think not acknowledging is a big one. Just going backwards, comparing pain again, but I can't think of anything else. It's more like, what do you do? You know, it's just, what do you do? And people don't do enough. You know, we could all do a better job at being kind. You know, and it's just a kindness thing more than anything else. And I think for 6 months there, Nicole and I didn't cook a meal. I kind of forgot how to. You talk about community.
Yeah.
You know, I think yes, and that's the important part too. Is we invest in people because that's what we're called to do.
Yes.
You know, especially Nicole. She's way more of a people person than I am, but we love people and we love this community that we're in. And I think there's a huge value in that when you pour into the community, and then all of a sudden people start pouring back into you. We were richly blessed, but my heart breaks for the people that don't have that. You know, how do you go through that trauma? How do you go through that struggle and not have that community of people behind you? I don't think Nicole and I could have done it. So, I mean, all the more important for a lot of our local nonprofits, they do a great job of this, but be that to somebody else who maybe you're not that close with, because maybe they don't have a huge community around them. I think that's an important thing too.
So what you're saying, so this is a message for you guys. So if you are not involved in a community, when the hard times hit and the storms hit, you're going to be suffering alone. So what I hear you saying is you're offering a warning to those who, we're all going to go through grief.
Yes.
We're all going to go through suffering. We're all going to go through hardship. So the storm is coming. Yep. It's just a matter of when. It's pending. It's looming. So what you're saying is you're talking to the people who are actually going to go through the storm now. And you're saying you need community.
Yeah. Start prepping now and prep by pouring into people, right? I mean, it's not a tit for tat thing. It's a love thing, right? Yeah. Is what it's all about. But, I say this from the pulpit all the time too, is most of us will go through the experience of losing our parents. Right. Yeah, and that's a tough deal. That's a grieving time for when you lose your mom, you lose your dad, most of us will lose a sibling, that have siblings at some point in time. There's one sibling will have to watch all of their siblings die. Yep. And then whatever, there's that whole thing, whole saying on that. But some of us will lose our children too. Not everybody, but some of us. And there's quite a few. I mean, it's amazing the community of people that you all of a sudden start to take notice of when you become one. Right, type of a thing. So, but I just think that's how we're supposed to live. That's why church is important. That's why sports are important. It's like we develop all of these different communities. Nonprofits are important. Yep. Go out and serve and be a part of and walk in community with people, because you get to be something. You get to be an angel. You get to represent Jesus to somebody when you step in and help them out during their storm. And then it's amazing the community of people that will come and step into your storm and help you through it too. So
that's a great picture. Like you step into other people's storms and then they step into yours. I'm reminded of Hebrews 10:39. It says, "We are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but through faith are saved." And so, no, that's really powerful, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing your pain and your journey. I know you're a year into it. You've got, a rough probably couple days. You're celebrating your bride's going to turn 40.
40, yeah.
I may or may not have been invited to something for that, but I mean, how do you handle that? And so I think there's some wise words in saying, walk with people through their grief. Don't compare your pain. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just need to shut up and listen, and then don't retract yourself from the situation, but lean into it, even beyond the grief.
Yeah. And most importantly, I think we it has to be said, God's word carried us through the storm as well. We reverted to what we knew in trauma, and that was Scripture. So talk about preparation for the storm. Get your butt in the Word, because that Scripture carried us through the storm. We fought one battle at a time, because that was what Jesus told us to do in Matthew chapter 6, right? So we put one day at a time, one fight at a time, and that's how we got through it all. But God's word was gold during that trauma as well.
Well, I remember getting together in a small group. Was it Good Friday? Good Friday. And we fasted till Saturday. We went in as couples, laid hands on Ethan. He was, I think, had a chemo week. He was asleep the whole time, and laid hands on him. And we had a great medical report came back. And then, of course, that didn't last long. And but you consistently modeled that. And faith. I mean, you guys didn't lose. This is the hard part, is sometimes you can have all the faith in the world. How would you respond to this? So how do you respond to people who say, well, you had all the faith, you had all the trust, and God still didn't heal your son? How did that affect your view of God?
Yeah.
Did you wrestle?
Sure, absolutely. Especially when I tried to follow the recipe in the Bible to performing miracles. And so I studied Acts like you would believe. Peter was able to perform miracles, right? Yeah, it's like, why can't I? And so I studied faith. I studied fear. I removed fear from my life. I had high belief. I wanted my son to be healed. I wanted to stand up on a platform and preach the message of God's divine healing in my son's life as he stood up, and was presented,
Yes.
But I didn't get that. Instead, I preached the gospel. There were over 900 people in person. Over 1,200 devices watched my son's service.
Yep.
We got to preach the gospel to about 2,500 people that day.
Okay, I was thinking my 1,700 was closer to 2,100, but I couldn't remember. Yeah,
whatever the number is. But not only that, it's been life changed after life changed from Ethan's story. Mm-hmm. I got to share this one too. Nicole was baptizing this woman and her daughter.
I was there.
August 23rd.
I was there. Yeah, I was there.
And this woman gave Nicole this envelope. And before the baptism, she took it home and she read it with me. She was there was a football playoff game where they were honoring my son because he was in the hospital and his football team was playing, a rival team. And then the high school he actually goes to is Western Christian. So 3 different school communities gathered and the news was there and everything. And just Ethan the Holy Spirit was there. And this woman felt the presence of the Spirit at that game. And says, what do these people have? Because I want it. She started following the Infinite 8 Facebook page, the social page that we had set up.
Wow.
What do these people have? I want to go to their church. She started attending. Her kids, not so much. Her and her husband are on the fritz, almost borderline divorce. She starts attending. Her daughter starts coming, loving it. Her son starts coming, loving it. And now the husband's coming and they're working on their marriage and bringing it back. My son's loss affected more people's lives than we'll ever know.
Yep.
And those changed lives, he would have died for one of them. And so I get to honor that by still preaching the message and sharing and just watching the ripple effect grow as it has. I mean, many lives have been changed.
Well, and I preached Sunday and I preached Ethan's story. And then Tuesday I preached to about 30 kids at a charter school and shared Ethan's story. And here we're sharing Ethan's story. Yeah. And I think that's the bottom line is that the hope that we have is that Ethan has never been better.
Yeah.
He's never been better.
Yeah.
He's never been more alive. He's never been healthier. He's never been better. But we grieve the loss of being ripped off by a sinful world and a fallen creation. So we grieve that loss. And this is a season where we live between the dash, birth to death. We live in the dash, but we live for the line, right? That we will see each other, but we mourn the loss of being ripped off by a sinful creation. And he did nothing to deserve it. You did nothing to deserve it. I mean, if there was any couple that would be a model couple that didn't deserve it, would be you guys. But here God allows this to happen, and here you are. And so, I appreciate you sharing your story, man. I know this is not fun for you, but God continues to use your guys' witness, Ethan's life, and just preaching the sermon Sunday. I found this verse on Jesus, how he calms the storms, the Psalms, and the guy that wrote it was named Ethan.
Oh, get out.
And I thought, that's pretty cool. Yeah, your wife was like, I never knew that. And so just that story that lives on. But most of all, there are so many of you guys out there grieving right now. Maybe you're grieving a failed marriage. Maybe you're grieving a loss of a child or a loss of a parent or a loss of a sibling or a loss of a job or whatever it may be. But man, get in a community, find help. And guys, if you have friends that are grieving, man, this has been a master's level class on what to do and what not to do. So man, thanks so much for that, Isaac. Sure appreciate you, man. Love you, man, as usual. You know that, but I'm looking forward to something happening on a 40th birthday party. Yeah. Remember, guys, feel the wet sand on the arena floor. Hear the deafening roar of the crowd. Taste the sweetness of victory. Smell the stench of battle. Get in the game. Get dirty. Grind it out. Be wise in helping people grieve, and be a man.